gun. You know what I
Well,
mean?
who was Hashir?
He was
woman walking up?
No. They don't know who the woman was, but he was the pastor of the church in Dayton, Ohio that I went to.
Is this the guy who could bilocate, or is that somebody else?
That's the guy, Sean.
And is he still around?
No, he died in 2001, I believe. But
okay.
So it's crazy because like she's like, listen, she said, if you don't shut this service down, she pointed her hand at all the like young men that were on the front row. She said, I'm going to perform a ritual, and I am going to take the lives of all of those young men. And my dad was one of those young men. And he said when she pointed her finger, there was a force that pushed them back in the pew, and the lights flickered. And she was mid-sentence, though, right? And she said, you know, if you don't end this service, I'm going to take the lives of every one of these young men. Matter of fact, I have the ritual performed, and I planned it. It's going to happen on, and Hashir says, Thursday? Sean. She said, what? He goes, yeah, I know exactly who you are. And he just goes off. And my father was an eyewitness to this, and I talked to other people that were there. She crawled her way out of the church. So I grew up with these, admittedly, people say, that's anecdotal. All right, fine. So is 99% of the other things that people believe in. But I talked to my father about it, and he's like, that's just one of the stories.
Who was this woman, and why was she in the church? And
she wanted to shut down the church because that guy had a reputation. She had a reputation of not playing around. And you're talking about someone who was incredibly gifted and incredibly powerful. And those are two different things, by the way, right? You have your natural spiritual gifting, but through consecration, I mean, he would wake up first of all, he was a Marine, so he fought in the war. Very strict guy, like very, very principled and disciplined. So he would wake up at 4 a.m. and he'd pray for 4 hours. So by 8 a.m, he had tithed his days. We're good. He did that for 35, 40 years. And so you're talking about a guy who would go out and do water fasts for a month or two at a time. Not maybe just 1 month, and he would kind of gain his weight back, and then he would go back and fast again. And so it got to a point where it was just, he was so powerful that people were in that, they were willing to sign them. Because you probably already know, if I watch television, so I'm just going to tell you, it was a strange environment, and people feared the guy. I mean, feared him. So he was genuinely a good guy. I'm not saying, I didn't like him or anything. I was saying that the man was incredibly powerful. And anyways, so I grew up in that environment to where I'm hearing about angels, divine intervention. One of the stories that Hashir always told was when he was on the evangelistic field. People are going to crucify me, burn me at the stake, because I'm talking about my history. It's my history. I'm not saying you guys have to believe in it, right? I'm just saying this is what I grew up in. But he was on the evangelistic field, and he had just gotten a very low offering from the church he's leaving. And he had just enough money to put gas in his tank to go to the next town to preach. And his testimony was that he's running out of gas. He pulls into the gas station, and his wife, Carol Shearer, goes, honey, what are we going to do with that money? I'm starving. We've got to get some food. He goes, well, that's all we have. We got to make it to the next town, and we're 2 or 3 hours away. He goes, I'm just going to put money in the gas tank, and we'll make it. So he walks in to the gas station. In the corner of his eye, he sees a man that walks up to him. Sean doesn't know this guy from Adam. Are you Reverend Hashir? Yes, sir. Okay. Hands him a wad of cash. I think it was like $200.
I got the meeting with the founder at 5 o'clock for the church that I want to do my work for. And when I first heard about it, I was very excited. And then I didn't think it would be possible. And now it is possible. I don't even need all that money. I just need most of it. You don't think there's no better time than this time to listen to the Spirit. And that's all I wanted to say.